beloved community of Rivergrass Unitarian Universalist Congregation, both here in person and on Zoom. We welcome you. And Facebook. We celebrate all the ways we find to gather our beloved community in body and in spirit, and go and grow and flow the river way. I'm Kathy Jens-Rochow, and my pronouns are she and her. Rev. Amy is on her summer break. She will be back in the pulpit on August 25th. You here in the room, we welcome you. You on Zoom and Facebook Live, we welcome you. However you made your way among us today, we welcome you. Let us pause together to enter into this space in time and connect with one another and with the holy by any name and the light of love within us all. While we remain mindful that not everyone can breathe easy, nor find it easy to breathe. In this congregation, it is our mission to nurture our spirits, love intentionally, and create a just and healthy planet. In our unending search for truth, meaning, and justice, what we share here is not an ongoing dogma, unchanging dogma, but an affirmation that we are called to be agents of love and justice, and to build a world where everyone is cherished for who they are. Now, every year, the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, otherwise known as the UUA, holds the General Assembly, which we call GA, of course. It is attended by 3,000 to 4,000 delegates. It is a very, very exciting time to be with that many, especially when you're in person. But even online, you've got 4,000 people in this Zoom. And one of the highlights of this week-long doing business and workshops and webinars, one of the highlights is the Sunday service that is put on, which was put on June 23rd. We are going to share parts of that with you today. The service is led by Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon. And other UUs, both clergy and other people, lay people.
Greetings, UUs, and welcome to our 2024 General Assembly Sunday service during this, our first intentionally all-virtual General Assembly. It is a delight to be joining you on screen in your sanctuaries and homes, and it is a joy to be connected across every distance, linked from person to person and congregation to congregation. I am the Reverend Dr. Molly Hausch Gordon, she, her, minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri, and I am so honored to lead you in worship this morning, along with a number of dear colleagues and congregants. I am a pale-skinned white woman in the very last months of her 30s, with red hair that is very long on one side and very short on the other. I'm wearing a dark teal blouse with a scalloped neckline, and a stole with a dove on one side and rolling water on the other. I'm speaking to you from my church sanctuary in Columbia, Missouri, against a background of large dandelions made of paper plates and napkins and garden hoses by a wonderful artist in our congregation, Lily Johnston. One of my core beliefs as a Unitarian Universalist is that my life is inextricably bound together with every other life and force on this earth, and I am grateful to be tangled up with you, my fellow Unitarian Universalists. In celebrating the interconnection that I experience daily and weekly, this service will include members of the staff and congregation of our church here in Columbia, and it will also include members of a minister colleague group that I have met with every week for the last 3 years to deepen our practice of Unitarian Universalism. They will each introduce themselves. I am so grateful to remember that so much of who I am and how I think and what I write is formed by these relationships. Additionally, the ideas in this service are formed by a wider landscape of entangled influence, particularly the work of theologians Karen Bray and Catherine Keller, the poet Ross Gay, Unitarian Universalist ancestor Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, movement organizers and writers Adrienne Ray Brown and Alexis Pauline Gumbs, and so many others, whose words and ideas inevitably make their way into mine. I wonder, who are you tangled up with in your congregation, in your thinking, in your life? Let's celebrate those connections today. We begin with a prelude performed by several UU choirs from across the country, their images and voices woven together as our lives and our faith communities so deeply are. I hope you will feel yourself connected as we worship together today, remembering that we are here, gathered from many places, and yet still here together. Let us begin.
We are here.
community this morning, we offer greetings to all UUA congregations, to CUC congregations, to individual UUs tuning in across the country and world, and to global Unitarian Universalist communities who may be worshiping from so many places. As we begin our service from diverse locations this morning, may we ground ourselves in each of those places, even as our spirits reach out to connect us to one another. Helping me to anchor our worship this morning in some of the hundreds of places from which we gather are several minister colleagues from across the United States who meet together every single week to hone our preaching practice and invite each other into the most daring expressions of Unitarian Universalism.
I am Eric Kamenetsky. I'm an older, balding man with slightly olive-tinted skin. Greetings from the U.S. West Coast, from Edmonds, Washington, where the deep blue waters of the Salish Sea lap at the shores between the Cascade and the Olympic mountain ranges. The land I join you from has been stewarded for countless generations by the Snohomish tribe and the Coast Salish people who continue their livelihoods on these lands today.
I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, a short, middle-aged woman with graying red hair and freckles, wearing glasses. Greetings from the United States Southwest, from Valley Unitarian Universalist in Chandler, Arizona, where the saguaros bloom amidst an array of bright-colored flowers and hummingbirds are joined by coyotes, scorpions, and javelinas, and a desert landscape that is both beautiful and dangerous, and full of surprises. The land I join you from has been stewarded for countless generations by the Hohokam, Akamel O'Afam, Maricopa, Yavapai, Yaqui, and also the Gila River Indian Community, Salt River, Pima Maricopa Indian Community, and Tohono O'odham Nation. From Arizona, we share a wish of cool breezes, shady spots to rest, freedom to cross borders as needed, and enough water to you, our fellow Unitarian Universalists across the country and world.
I am Molly Hausch-Gordon, a white woman with red hair and an asymmetrical style. Greetings from the U.S. Midwest, from Columbia, Missouri, where the waving grasses of the prairie are deeply rooted, where the big muddy Missouri River makes its leisurely way eastward toward the end of its journey to the Mississippi, and where the rolling foothills of the Ozark Mountains shelter vast caverns and abundant life. The land I join you from has been stewarded for countless generations by the Osage, Peoria, Kikopwa, Oceti-Sakowin, and Kaskaskia peoples. From Columbia, we share our wish of deep nourishment, wide perspective, and bodily autonomy to you, our fellow UUs across the country and world.
I'm Sadie Lansdale, a tall white woman with brown hair pulled back in my church bun. Greetings from the United States South, from Greensboro, North Carolina, where the blooms are going wild, the produce is ripening on the vines, and the rivers and creeks that sweeten the earth are thick with life. The land I join you from has been stewarded for generations by the Chirac, Catawba, Occaneechi, Sissipahaw, Kiowa, and Shakori people. From Greensboro, we share our wish of good food, good music, and rowdy celebration, heaven on earth for all people, to you, our fellow UUs across the country and the world.
I am Aaron Stockwell-Wiseman, a tallish white man with short blonde hair and a beard. I am wearing a blue ministerial robe and a rainbow stole, and I use glasses. Greetings from the United States East Coast, from Framingham, Massachusetts, in the Charles River watershed. We learn about the seasons as the vernal pools fill with water in the spring. They're the home to yellow-spotted salamanders and fairy shrimp. We learn about the seasons, too, with the vermilion and golden leaves of autumn, and the chattering of those bare branches during stick season. The land I join you from has been stewarded for countless generations by the Massachusetts, Agawam, Nipmuc, and Pawtucket peoples. From Framingham, Massachusetts, we share our wish of changing seasons and flourishing life to you, our fellow Unitarian Universalists across the country and world.
Greetings to you gathered in so many additional beautiful spaces. Take a moment to feel your body connected to the place where you are as we join our spirits with yours from each of these places. Take a moment in gratitude for the land that upholds and sustains you, for its many stewards across generations, and for the spirit that roots and connects us each to each in a great web of living and loving and worshiping. Come, let us gather.
Slight technical issues with this program today. As you may have noticed, at GA, when they start speaking, they introduce themselves and describe themselves physically, so the visually impaired can kind of have an idea of the person that's talking to them. That's why it's kind of strange in this situation, but when you're on Zoom, and even in the big places where you can't, if you're visually impaired, it's nice to have an idea of who's speaking. So, the flaming chalice is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, a beacon of religious liberty shining through generations, now ours to hold high. As we light our chalice together this morning, let us join our voices with these words. We light our chalice this morning so that we remember we are not alone, but sometimes we forget that truth. We are woven into one cloth, one gorgeous blanket, designed for use, for comfort, to sustain, and to love. And in this light of love, let us renew our covenant as we say together, love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta congregación, y el servicio será principal. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad a través del amor y ayudarnos mutuamente.
I am Leon Nutley. I am an African-American man with dreadlocks and an increasingly graying beard. I am wearing a stole that honors the members of North Universalist Chapel Society, or North Chapel, in Woodstock, Vermont, which is the church and the community that I lovingly serve. I'm going to share a story with you this morning from a collection called Through the Mickle Woods by Valiska Gregory. In a kingdom long ago, there was a weaver who spun stories out of thread. One day, an owl, white as winter, perched in a nearby tree. I should like my story to be woven out of clouds, said the owl. As you wish, said the weaver. And the owl brought the woman strings of clouds round as pearls. But every time she tried to weave them in and out, they would dissolve quietly as dew upon the grass. The owl blinked his great eyes. Perhaps we should add some moonlight, he said, the kind that shimmers on water. As you wish, said the weaver. But though the owl brought baskets of jeweled moonbeams, worth more than the king's own crown, the story's cloth would not take shape. I do not understand, said the owl. I have chosen beautiful things for the weaving of my story. Ah, said the woman, but sometimes the cloth will pattern itself, whether we will or no. You must bring everything, things chosen and things not. And the owl flew over mountains and through valleys. He gathered jade, green as ginkgo leaves, and raspberries red as blood. He flew past villages that were peaceful and past countries ravaged by war. And when he returned with all of the things that he had found, the weaver smiled. These will do, she said. She took the things that the owl had brought, the threads of sunlight fine as silk and cobwebs gray as skulls, and wove them together into a cloth. And when the owl pulled his story around him, it was so full of woe and gladness, so beautiful and strong, that when he stretched out his new-made wings, the people thought he was an angel hovering over the breathless sky.
Now there's a 20-second delay here as we send our non-existent children out. So sit tight, it continues. We love you and bless you.
We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys through
Pamela Batchelder, the Director of Religious Education at the UU Church of Columbia. I'm a 46-year-old white woman with lots of wavy dark blonde hair, and I am wearing a Art Nouveau print wrap dress in shades of turquoise, aqua, black, and gray.
My name is Violet Bonner. I'm the Director of Music Ministry at the UU Church of Columbia. I'm a 30-something white woman with short, blondish, brownish hair, wearing gold glasses, and also got an Art Nouveau style handkerchief wearing a white shirt.
And together we are going to lead you in a moment of centering, as we do each week here in our congregation. I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position for your body. Feel your contact with the seat or with the ground. And take a moment to bring your attention to the steady rhythm of your breath. In and out. For a moment, finding your center. And now, close your eyes and try to imagine the threads that are being woven into this story of your life. Each experience, each feeling, each love and sorrow, its own thread. And let each thread take shape in your mind as color or texture or sensation until it becomes almost tangible, to where you can almost hold it in your hands delicately between your fingers. With all your tenderness, can you begin to weave it all in? Twining green shoots of new discovery. Heavy, drab threads of despair. The sparkling sunlight of unexpected joy, the red hot threads of anguish, the strong and supple threads of deep friendship, the endless threads of grief that weave themselves in again and again throughout the fabric, that perhaps the fabric couldn't exist without, because when you look more closely, you see that they were spun out of your capacity to love. What is weaving itself into your story? What makes the fabric strong? What makes it vibrant? What gives it poignancy? And now, bring your attention to the edge of the fabric that you are weaving. And see, it does not end there. Each fabric neat and tidy and separate. Open your mind, your heart, your spirit to threads being woven from 100, 1,000, from countless others. weaving into yours in colors and textures you could never have imagined. Sometimes weaving together roughly in complicated patterns, sometimes beautifully and seamlessly, sometimes some of both. Can you hold the tenderness of their stories, the tenderness and care of this weaving together? Can you sit here silently a moment longer in tenderness, in love, in awe at this creation, at all that has been woven?
We are weaving our lives. Won't you sing with me?
In our community each week, we share pieces of our lives. We take a moment to share our joys and sorrows and gratitudes here with people who love us for exactly who we are, where we are, right now. Here in this room, we share from this book. If you're on Zoom and would like to share a thought or a prayer or a joy or concern with us in this moment, write it in the chat and we will lift these things up together. And now, in the quiet of this hour, if there's something in your mind, in your heart, that you want to mark without words this morning, you're invited to come forward and drop a stone into the collection in this water. As we hold one another in sacred communion. For as William James wrote, we are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface, but connected in the deep. So let us share a moment of reflection, connecting all of us to those who are in need. And please step forward if you want to silently share something. We lift these things, spoken and unspoken, written and unwritten, asking that our hearts be seen, even as we become seers of hearts, that we may serve one another and those beyond our walls with love and thankfulness, today and every day. Amen, Amen, Aho, Ashe, Namaste, blessed be. And so it is. We sustain and strengthen this beloved community and its work in our world through the gifts of our time, our talent, our love, and our money. Half of our undesignated funds go to LifeNet for Families, which provides meals, clothing, and support for those in need in Broward County. The other half sustains our mission and ministry at River Grass. Ushers, please come forward. Thank you for these generous gifts.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Jordan Nelson Long, a white woman with chin-length brown hair, and I am standing in a white wooden pulpit at our congregation, First Parish, Needham, Massachusetts, on which note, Reverend Molly, your intern congregation of long ago, sends its greetings. We are indeed held by threads woven fine. Our reading this morning is by the poet Jean Lohman, Shaking the Tree. Vine and branch, we're connected in this world of sound and echo, figure and shadow, the leaves contingent, roots pushing against earth. An apple belongs to itself, to stem and tree, to air that claims it, then ground. Connections balance. Each motion changes another. Precarious, hanging together. We don't know what our lives support. And we touch in the least shift of breathing. Each holy thing is borrowed. Everything depends.
My 5-year-old Margot May comes to me sobbing and thrusts her snuggle-worn slop monkey into my face. "Baba is rich," she cries. "I love her so much. Can you fix her?" I tear my eyes away from my phone where I've been watching a photojournalist's video of a child just like my own, covered in the dust of bombs, vibrating with medical shock and soul trauma beside a pile of rubble in Gaza. Child, I can fix nothing. But I pull her to my chest and let her tears join mine. 30 years before, I sit with my great-grandmother Iva May at the table her mother brought in a wagon across the prairie, running my hand over a notch worn smooth by wagon wheel and worrying of women. I'm 9. We sit packing away blankets whose edges she neatly crochets by feel, her beloved hobby as a seamstress with sight long gone. She gives these blankets to every baby she learns of, the mail deliverer's son, her cousin-in-law's grandson's newborn child. They're all ours, she tells us. That day we are packing away my blankets for the children I do not yet know I will have. "Can you teach me?" I ask, pointing to her crochet hook. Yes, she can. But first things first. Before we learn to weave, we learn to mend. She brings out a needle and thread, a torn old rag. I cut the string, thread the needle, tie the knot, learn the simplest looping stitch. By this, the world is sustained. Just this thread, just this lesson. First, we learn to mend. Now, my daughter calms herself in my arms. More truthfully, we calm each other. And together we fetch the needle and thread. Under my hands, Baba becomes whole again, while beside us, images of devastation flicker on the screen of my phone. I can fix nothing, but Iva taught me, every baby is ours. First, we learn to mend. It is a theological truth long understood by our tradition that all of our lives are woven and sewn and bundled up into one great tapestry of life. It is a terrible truth of this moment that the weaving is torn and frayed and sliced, sometimes by our very own hands. And I'm not certain that we have learned well to mend. Friends, I want to speak to you today of the web of life, an existential fact about which we Unitarian Universalists love to sing and rhapsodize and sometimes joke. Did you see the UU Valentine that said, "Baby, let's let our interconnected webs interconnect"? It's beautiful, isn't it? The web of life. Sparkling with dew like jewels at every join. All the ways we are connected, accompanied, and so deeply held across all of time and all of space. The depth of our interdependence means that you are the dancer showing something true about love in the shape of her arm, and in the painting glowing with impossibly captured light. It means there is something of you in the way a rose unfurls, something of you in the engineers that found a way to reach the stars, and something of you in the stars. All of life is woven thick, and that means we are each reflected in poetry and in prayer, in science and in every silence. We are echoed in the ocean waves and found in the deep. How beautiful. You could almost forget, couldn't you, that a spider's web is also the tool of a predator, that a web is sure death for the fly. Our connections are sticky, and sometimes they are terrible. We are in the rot as much as the roses. And there is something of us in the avarice of the billionaire who hoards 10 lifetimes of security while everyone else teeters at the brink of disaster. And we are not separate from the old boy sneering with racist slurs and a powerful need to be better, to make others less, or from the casual, vast cruelty of the truly powerful. We are not separate. And for me, there's this. My great-grandmother, Iva May, who crocheted countless soft blankets to hold new life. She also upholstered the plane that destroyed Hiroshima. How do I hold both of those things so tenderly? Our connection is a soothing balm, but it is also in those bombs. Every baby is ours, and so is every harm. The tapestry of our lives is thick, woven, warp and weft of love and pain. It is beautiful and it is awful. Our interdependence is sustaining and threatening. God, sometimes I wish it was just one or the other. Our whole culture is set up to tell us it's only ever one or the other. My survival brain would really like it to just be one or the other so I would know how to act. All of us sometimes behave like it's only one or the other, like we're all saved or all damned, all good or all bad. Like we could cut away the harm and have only the love. I know I've wished it for my family tree. To trim off the branches of shame and only let the good stuff remain, perfectly formed, all blessed, wholly uncorrupted. I've wished it. And how could I not? It's in our faith to pursue that moral perfection. Our great-grand forefather, William Ellery Channing, told us that we could, that we should grow in likeness to God. Really, that was the Unitarian good news, that we could grow in likeness to God, could become less messy, more divine, leave bad behind for good, make our way up the shining hill. No mistakes. But hills keep rolling on, high to low, and messing up is how we grow, and growing never ends. And no matter the language you use for the ultimate, perhaps you've been left with just that likeness, just that purity, just that choice, perfection or damnation. And are you just exhausted from the climb? Because maybe you're afraid that they're onto you. Your congregation, your friends, your colleagues, or your people, that they know you haven't got it all right yet. That there's still some greed in you, or some confusion, and lots of fear. Maybe you're afraid that you haven't got it all right yet, and that makes you all wrong. And maybe you've even tried to slice yourself out of the web sometimes, because nobody told you that you could just keep growing. Because nobody ever taught you how to mend. And even when we do feel like we're getting it mostly right, it hurts sometimes to be so tangled up. To be present to all that beauty and all that pain at once. To hold your sparkle-eyed child and her precious stuff to slop in your lap while another child is in the dull dust of bombs. And yet another is dead in her mother's weeping arms. It aches to be so tangled up. No wonder the weaving is frayed. No wonder it is sometimes torn. It aches to be so tangled up, and it is dangerous sometimes. When everything depends, one misfortune can send it all tumbling to disaster. Surely COVID taught us the danger of our beautiful, tight-woven connections, that we ignore them at our peril, and that even when we manage to attend to them well, tragedy may still unfold. Tangled up in the web of life, so much depends upon forces over which we have no control, forces we may never even witness or understand. We are at each other's mercy, and not all of us are merciful. The poet Jean Lohman writes, precarious, hanging together, we don't know what our lives support, and we touch the least shift of breathing. Each holy thing is borrowed. Everything depends. Our interdependence sustains us. And because it sustains us, it also makes us so vulnerable to one another. There is no outright safety to be had in the web of life. There never was. It is dangerous to be so tangled up, and it aches. No wonder the weaving is frayed. No wonder it is sometimes torn. And the call of our faith is to respond to these tangled realities all at once. The sustenance and the danger, the holding and the teetering, the beauty and the pain. We really don't like to feel that second part. Sometimes we try to slash and hack away at the web to avoid that second part. Maybe if we could just cut ourselves away from that interdependence, we could be safe. Maybe alone, on our own, it wouldn't ache. If I don't rely on you, I could be sure I was okay. And if I leave first, they can't kick me out. And if I distance myself from your mistakes, I won't get kicked out too. And I'll never have to reckon with the shame of things I used to do before I knew. So slash and hack and tug away. And power hoarders and the supremacy systems and the forces of empire, well, they are standing by, sharpening their knives. They're whispering to us that we don't have to depend, and that the cost of our separation, well, it would only be the parts of us that hurt in the first place. All we have to do is cut out the warp of the weaving, slice away the pain and fears, cut out the anger and the longing. That doesn't sound like such a bad deal, does it? Until the weaving won't hold, because we aren't whole. Until it all begins to unravel and our humanity leaves us too. And the weft of joy that cannot stay without the warp of sorrow. And the weft of love that does not exist without the warp of loss. Our lives must have them all. And not just our lives, life on earth must have it all. Every strand, every warp and weft. Yes, it aches to be so tangled up. Yes, it is dangerous sometimes. And yes, empire is standing ready with a knife, inviting you to cut your way free of the web. Don't. You must stay. You must stay woven in. Everything depends on us all staying woven in, on us each learning to mend. Everything depends. And any separation we might win would be an illusion anyhow. Interdependence is beautiful and it is terrible, but more than that, it is. Our entanglement comes from living in a universe of bouncing atoms and growing life and exploding stars. We cannot escape it if we try, and we harm it when we try. We harm it when we try. So what if instead we hold on tighter to each other, and so embraced we learn to abide? to weave all of life whole, to reknit unjust entanglements into more just ones, to mend the places we've torn in our desperation to escape where the weaving's been worn? What if we turn back to each other and refuse to turn away, even when the bombs break our hearts, even when one more loss will unravel us? What if we tangle our fingers up together on purpose and cup this delicate web in our hands and tenderly mend every tear? And what if every join in the weaving is where the power lies that will make us all free, tangled up in mutual thriving? And what if our heartbreak is the needle that will sew us back together? This has always been the wisdom of community organizers and spiritual leaders and prophets, that our power lives right next to our broken hearts. Another warp and weft in the weaving of our thriving when we're learning to mend. I live in Missouri, where the voice of empire and domination is very loud right now, and where the state legislature is very extremist and very afraid, and they have taken their sharpest knives to our interconnection. They are afraid of how life and death intertwine, so they have banned abortion. They're afraid of how possibility and unruliness dance together, so they have banned gender-affirming care. They're afraid of the way curiosity unfolds into deeper mystery, so they are defunding education. And I wonder, where are their hearts broken? And I wonder if we can help them learn to love. As we learn to lead themselves back in, as we can all turn back to each other. Because right next to the thread that they want tying, there is also a strong woven Missouri, ready to receive and reweave what is heard. A Missouri where farmers with Missouri Rural Crisis and activists from the Organization for Black Struggle and community members from Jobs with Justice has spent years investing in our land, building deep relationships together, fighting factory farming together, protesting police brutality together, successfully raising the minimum wage together, and getting abortion rights back on the ballot together, because we know that they're in. They know their bones, that their interdependence is a fact. Because they would not leave this way even if they could, because even though it aches, and even though it is dangerous sometimes, it is so sustaining and so beautiful. In this vision, we live in a vast and shining web of organizing relationships where we stay connected, where we prize our interdependence, where we turn toward each other, where we mend what we tear. And yes, we are heartbroken together. And there we find our power. I hope you have a web like that too, in your community, in your congregation, in your beautiful family.
Grass, we offer many ways to live our lives, live our Unitarian Universalist faith in action. You'll find them in our weekly email, our Facebook page, and our website, riverofgrassuu.org. Here are some upcoming opportunities to fulfill the mission and vision of this congregation and offer announcements for the life of the community. The Service, Social Justice, and Green Team, otherwise known as SSJGT, is sponsoring a free Summer of Heat event on Saturday, July 13th, from 6:30 to 8:30 here at the river to show support for the National Summer of Heat campaign. We will have a light supper, speakers, and an overview of the Summer of Heat social media campaign, and an opportunity to write postcards to Florida climate voters to help get out the vote at the August primary election. The Summer of Heat campaign is putting heat on the 4 banks this summer to stop funding fossil fuels. Broward Climate Alliance, Sierra Club Broward, the Clio Institution, and Third Act Florida are the sponsors. For information, see Steve Jens-Rochow or ssjgt@riverofgrass.org. And movies. The River of Grass Film Group will discuss Frida this Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's available on Amazon. Frida is an exquisite, beautiful documentary, visually stunning, with amazing graphics, magical journey into the life of Frida Kahlo, told through her own words. Movies for Change will discuss Frida on Wednesday, September 11th, 7 p.m. via Zoom. Contact River of Grass at movies@riverofgrassuu.org. Movies is spelled with 2 U's, of course. MUUVIES. We come from many places, along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories, different realities, and yet we come together as one people with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we find others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our chalice remind us that we are a people taught by many stones and many voices, but always one people working for a world where love creates justice and justice gives birth to peace. And as we extinguish our chalice, reminded that we are part and participants of the universe, woven together. Let us go forth from the quiet of this hour, encouraged to strive towards faithfulness to the best in ourselves, in others, and in the whole planet. In these changing times, let us be all the more vigilant to hold before us the vision of a world transformed, and dare to transform ourselves to make it so. Until we meet again, shine on.